I find this kind of project absolutely fascinating. Fascinating not only in itself, because of the scientific quality and so on, but also for the possibility to be very close to patients. So, and at the same time, it is a very demanding and very high quality scientific research, and on the other side, there is the opportunity to make this kind of scientific work with the patients. And so I'll make just three remarks, taking advantage also of my experience of a very small proof of concept research project in Italy, where we studied the possibility in a small community to take the genetic makeup of all newborn people, planning the controls in the life of people. So the main point in this kind of project, according to my view, is time. Time is very challenging from an ethical and legal point of view, because the ethical and legal frame can change, is subject to change in time. And so the problem is, let's suppose, when you have to recruit patients, okay, are you going to recruit also minors? Because minors, sooner or later, become adults, and they can change their mind very easily, very easily. Or there is also a problem of evolution of disease in adults, and evolution of social and family condition. So one person can divorce from a previous partner, and the new partner has a very completely different sensitivity on this kind of problem. So my question is, are you ready to recruit patients in a very careful way? So the recruitment is extremely important. You have to be clear on what is on today and what is possible in the next and far future, and what is the kind of communication when new things will happen. Okay? So the information on things for the future are very complicated to be given, but it's possible. It's possible. So the concept of information and concept is very crucial in order to improve also the autonomy of the patient, a real autonomy, not formal autonomy, real autonomy of the patient. So a question I have to you is also, are you considering the possibility of familiarity in the diseases, and how the members of the family are informed, not informed, and so on? It is not a very new issue, but it is something that has to be considered, of course. And so, how to deal with incidental findings? In time, you will have potentially some incidental findings, and this is something that is also crucial. So these are questions, are not questions for the frame of your project. The second remark is related to the legal framework to be applied. My reply is quite simple. In the presentation of this workshop, there was an example. A patient analyzed in Asia, biopsy sent to lab in Europe, genomic analysis done in the US. Oh, what law has to be applied? It's very simple. The GDPR, the European regulations, okay? It's very simple in principle, might be a little bit difficult in practice, but in principle is clear. There is Article 3 of the GDPR that says clearly, everything is performed in Europe has to be performed according to GDPR. If the responsible of this project is based in Europe, as it is your case, all the activity performed worldwide, but in the area of this project has to follow the rules of the GDPR. This is the main, the clearly established point. So my proposal and question for you is, okay, at the beginning, it is wise to make a short or long list of possible combinations you can imagine of activity performed in Europe or in other countries, and then it is possible to draw a legal picture according to the different situations, going into details. The last point is about artificial intelligence and algorithm approaches. In my group, Commerce in UNESCO, we have worked exactly on artificial intelligence, ethical implications, and we are working also on, now on Internet of Things. So you are mostly scientists and you are very expert on these things, but I see in our experience in the UNESCO is that there is a lot of misunderstanding about the concept of biases. Because when you work on artificial intelligence, the risk of bias is very high. So the bias is not the evil. It's something very, very easy to detect in some sense. So the operational artificial intelligence implies the existence of a data set and an algorithm. One or more algorithms applied to the data set. So if you have data set with some bias, so the way data are collected, okay, the final result is biased. If you have a good data set and a bad algorithm with bias, the final result is biased as well. But what is interesting is that you can also have bias, the data set not biased, the algorithm not biased, and the final result that is biased. So let's make a very simple and short example. So let's consider a data set of data collected only from white-skinned people, okay? If you put a question to this data set, is there any possibility that the next Nobel Prize is given to black-skinned people? The reply is no, because of course in the data set you do not have data of black-skinned people. And this is a kind of bias in the algorithm, not in the data set. Data set is a data set. It's no responsibility. But if you ask the same data set, if you ask, is there any possibility that people with the characteristic included in the data set can commit a crime typical of a small community of black people? In this case, the result is, again, a biased result. In this case, is pro the black-skinned people. In first case, was against. So you are experts in this. I am not able to teach anything. But what I want to stress is the necessity from an ethical and practical also point of view of continuous revising of the data set, the quality of data, the criterion they are collected, and the quality of the algorithm, and what is the relationship between the two. So if the project is a lifetime, there is a lifetime necessity of revising the technical tools also for the project. A final question or problem. Let's suppose we do everything in the very correct and wise way, and so on. So you are in the possibility to give some suggestion to a patient, a suggestion of lifestyle, or to do something, to perform some treatments, and so on, according to the data you have collected and the exploration of this data. Let's suppose that, as it is normal, in the next or further future, you discover that this suggestion was wrong, was not good in this in fact, in the interest of patients. So, how to distribute this risk of wrong suggestions according a well-designed and well-performed project. So, do we have to share this kind of problem with the patient? Perhaps yes, but you do not have to terrify the patients, of course. So, I stop here, but as you can see, it's a long list of questions more than solutions. Thank you.